matter.
They won't get rid of it because they're all benefiting from the problem.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. So and then this is where I'm going at with this is they're the whole China thing is they're blaming China for doing what China has done over the last 30 years. But if the American fucking corporations had never gone into the Chinese market and exploited their labor and everything was still made in the United States, we wouldn't be in this situation.
No, I mean, we'd probably be in some other situation, but it wouldn't be this. That's for sure.
No. But then for him to turn around and say, well, we're going to tax and we're going to tariff China, blah, 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 and all this other stuff. And it's like, why don't you go after the companies, American companies, and turn around and say, look, you keep your industry in the United States, and that'll be great. If you are going to make your product in Korea, North Korea, South Korea, China, or whatever, that is your choice as well. But that product is going to have a 200% tariff put on top of it because you are now trying to sell your goods into your own core country, like GE, whatever the American company is, making their products across seas and then bringing it back to the United States as basically their sole market.
Right.
Because now you're going to pay for the fact that you are bringing this product and you exploited a foreign country's labor market to make your product cheaper so then you can sell it for more in the United States. So we're going to make that a level playing field and say you would have made a bigger profit if you would have kept those jobs in America. That's what that tariff would do. But they won't do that, right? Because that's against capitalism.
Yeah, you know what? I hear a lot of people talk about, you should knock capitalism because otherwise the alternative is the stuff that causes people to die in the history. But really,
like capitalism.
I know, right? We're not talking about capitalism in history. We're talking about moving forward from it. Why can't we look at it like there are a whole lot of things that are good in capitalism, so let's use those things and write them down on a list. Now, let's look at socialism. These are the things that were popular and worked well within socialism. Let's put that on a list. And then communism. Is there anything in communism, because it's not socialism, by the way, folks, it's just a different derivation of a way to run a society. Are there things about communism that maybe we should apply? Like, I don't know, only in the workplace do we have communistic stuff. What that ends up concluding is what we originally tried to do in the motherfucking United States of America, which is make a brand new thing that was not oligarchical or oligarchic, and it was not, having a regime on top of everybody else with lords and ladies, and there wasn't supposed to, well, I don't know, there were rich people creating it, but at least the words on the document don't say anything about there having to be a class system. And anyway, it was an attempt at trying to hybridize everything, but as soon as it got hijacked by the very people that started it, no less, it became this crap again. It's like we are doomed to repeat the cycle of mercantilism where there's people in the dirt and people in the sky. What the fuck is that, right?
Well, that's the whole thing, but that is what the actual goal and the actual reason of capitalism is for. And if the true version of capitalism, sorry, the true purpose of capitalism is to sit here and say is I can make a better product, and if I make a better product, more people will want to buy my product. To me, that's what capitalism is.
Yeah.
It's ingenuity.
Sales.
It's doing something. Exactly. It's letting the consumer decide. We don't have that. When you've got mega corporations who own 70% of all the market, and the other 30% they own and shell companies for other markets, how is that? It's not. It's like if corporations are considered unnatural persons technically by the law, then what we're witnessing is a socialization of profits for the corporations. Correct. So those persons are getting socialism, and then the natural persons, the rest of us, are having to deal with capitalism's answer to that, which is your goal is to make more money. That should be your motivation. And if you don't make more money, it means you need to try harder. Right. And the other thing that bothers me about that plan is the simple fact is that they can then turn around and under the capitalist flag talk about how we are not a socialist country. We will never have socialism. Oh, really?
So much socialism already.
How is it not socialism when we give subsidies to the oil industry? We give subsidies to military contractors. We give subsidies to big pharma. For fuck's sakes, we'll get into AOC in a minute because she gives me such a hard lady boner. It's not even funny.
No.
I will admit when Chris or when you guys were bringing her up in the beginning, I was kind of like, man, I was like, I will hold my judgment until I see her in action. And I've seen her in action, and she makes my nipples hard, but in a good way.
There you go. But everybody out there, he does not mean this sexually. Jessie literally can't speak in any other language.
No, I can't. Yeah. And if you take it sexually, so be it. But that's my reaction to her.
Anyway.
When she went through, and this goes through the capitalism, and it goes into, the State of the Union, it's a simple fact. When she confronted the National Institute of Health about how we as taxpayers socially develop and research drugs just to give them to pharmacy companies to then to sell back to us at inflated goddamn prices. We own that research.
Yeah.
So it's socialism when we want something, but when they do it, it's not socialism, right? No. Because the reason being is because it's only benefiting one industry, one corporation, one this, one that. So of course, by definition, and it is technically the definition, is not socialism. But everyone will sit here and turn around and say, well, how is that right? How is that fair? I'm really going to start calling her she reminds me of when we were kids, and when you were like, you were 6, 7 years old, and you're having that hot dog. You had that one person off the side going, do you know what they put in hot dogs? You know what I mean? Yeah. And she's showing how the sausage and how the hot dogs are made. And that is why I'm really starting to like her. Like when she goes through and she's playing the let's play a game where I'm a bad guy, and getting people to sit here and dumb it down.
That was so awesome.
That was so good because they're like, and you can see their all eyes are just going back and forth like, shit, she's pulling the curtain aside. She's showing what you're doing here.
Yeah. Well, she's doing it a little bit. I think she's trying to be a little incremental with that because obviously you can't just like overexpose everything. And I'll bet there's a whole lot that she's not even totally aware of either. I mean,
exactly.
She's been in training for this for quite a long time now, and she's finally getting to actually do it. And to be honest, whether or not she wins some other election in the future, or if they try to block her out and replace her with somebody else, and she gets pushed to the sidelines, I know that she is doing what any of us would do in this situation, I think, if we had the right heart for it, and that is to take advantage of this limelight right now and expose as much as you can.
You got to talk about intentions there. Right?
She has to.
I don't think she has any intention of turning a political career into personal wealth.
I mean an intention to continue to. I mean the status quo's intention of whether or not they're going to allow her to keep doing politics. I mean, and until money gets kicked out of politics totally, there still are tactics available to the DNC to completely shut her out if they decide that she is not worth not putting up with her rhetoric, right?
Well, that's fine. And what I would say,
and then she'll have to run independent, which I hope she would, and I would vote for her if I had to. Yeah.
In our society, right now is I'm going to throw it out there, and it may not be a very popular, but you got to let me finish my comparison and my example before you say anything. Okay. All right. So we all grew up with mythology, right? Now, the biggest mythology that I really liked as a kid was, whole vampires and werewolves. But the only way to become a vampire or werewolf was you had to be bitten by one. So they actually are a self-propagating mythological species, right? Okay. And the true original mythologies, you were never born a werewolf or you were never born a vampire. You got turned into one. My comparison would be pedophiles and greed. In our society, those two things would be werewolves and vampires, because some people, and if you go back and look, and don't quote me on the numbers or anything, but the majority of people who are pedophiles were touched as children. They're victims of it.
Yep.
So that fucks their wiring up, and that fucks up their mentality to the point where when they get older, they become the thing which made them.
Yeah.
And it's the same thing with greed in our country. We've got a very small section of the population who are in that 1% or that top 1.1% who have only been raised to believe that money is everything and money, you know what I mean? And those are the people who then turn around and get sent out into the world to corporations, to run political parties, to then infiltrate the government so they can keep what they have and be getting more than what they have. I mean, look at the Bezos, the Gates, the Buffetts, all of those. Those people are extremely greedy goddamn individuals, whether they're philanthropists or not, because they are hoarding, and they purposely have it now set up to where, think about this for a minute. If you took every dime you have ever made in your life and you magically had it back in your hands and you stuck it in a bank and lived off the interest, right? You might be able to sustain yourself in a fairly, reasonable thing, just living off the interest, compared to Bezos, Gates, the Waltons, Walmart, all of these uber super rich people, where the interest that they're paid on the money that they have in banks would be able to, I don't know, put 30, 40,000 people in a lifestyle just based off that interest into the middle class, just based off that. They're getting money based off of not doing anything about it. And that is ultimately my definition of greed. They consistently make money off of things that they didn't build, and they build it off the backs of the workers, and they build it off the backs of the working class. And
even when they know that it does what it does, even when it is shown to them what happens, however they're indoctrinated into this nonsense, they just see it as, oh well, that's how it is. That's the market will fix itself. That's not my job to make this all work out. That's what Warren Buffett's argument is. He's like, I think we should be taxed higher. Well, I don't see you giving more money to us, buddy. You know what I'm saying? And by the way, it's not giving money. I don't see Warren Buffett deleting more of his cash in order to make the balance a little bit better. That's what you got to realize about that